Previously on One SAF.
The game. I'm sorry, long suffering is no more. We are the generation to say we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
We've got to change that.
Yeah, we have to change that narrative.
Long suffering is long, but it's still something to be aware. It's still a good utility to have. I'm not saying long suffering, but understanding how to deal with that. Because anything at any given moment, look at where we've been for the last 100 odd days, like with the COVID-19 situation. People have had stuff. People have had to been. The whole world's been shaken upside down. But once again, it comes down to: are you able to think how to survive when things go?
What have you learned?
M, is that part of the black experience, though?
That's why I personally think it is. I personally feel
I believe it is.
It's not one we asked for, though. It's not one we asked for.
No.
Absolutely not.
We definitely haven't asked for it, but I think that's what makes us unique.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree.
But we can have the same tools without the long suffering. That's what we have to now find a balance between the long suffering and also having the same arsenal that our parents had to be able to deal with situations that arises from nowhere and handle and keep it together.
See, I'll take that and develop it more to say that, yes, our parents had the long suffering. Yes, we are a byproduct of that long suffering, so to speak. Yes, they did have the ammunition or the arsenal to deal with that long suffering. But I think I don't think they did.
I don't think they had.
True. Actually, no, you're right.
I agree with them.
I don't think they did. I think we now have more tools.
Yeah, more tools. Yeah, very much so.
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly jump in and say, this is wrapping up the role models conversation. We've had a very integrated, very intense, emotional and heartfelt discussion over what role models are, what they mean to us, who they have been for us, and what we may be in terms of us being role models. We are spilling on into the long-suffering conversation, which will be for another podcast, of course. You have to stay tuned to actually know that one. So thank you very much, listeners. We are one step away from. I hope you have enjoyed and come back for the next one. Okay, we can talk about long suffering now.
Love that.
Dealing with long suffering is built into us genetically now.
Yeah, it's part of the experience.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Mental DNA, if there's such a thing.
Yeah,
wait, stop.
No, I'm being serious.
Jay, he's got to explain that.
Yeah.
No, but I think, like, just to be clear, I think there is such a thing as a mental DNA, because I'm not saying that you are born with, but based on your environment and based on everything that you're told and what's installed into you, you develop a mental DNA, which is that long suffering.
You evolve, just like in the animal kingdom, where a cheetah in Russia has got more fur and the paws are wider because they can climb. You adapt to your environment. So that is now embedded into us from birth.
Yeah,
but there's still a cheetah. At the end of the day, the DNA, there's still a cheetah.
But then
they have the tools to survive in that environment.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah. Like T was saying, they have the wider paws so they can get across the snow easier.
Yeah,
but there's still a cheetah. They still got the basic instincts of hunting.
Yeah, of course, but that's survival. That's surviving, isn't it?
Right, survival, isn't it?
That's what I think we have in our DNA, that survivability, because of, especially on this side of the world, because of what we've been through historically. It's literally embedded into us.
So what I'm hearing,
nature.
What I'm hearing, and this is a deep conversation. Yeah, the long suffering is being attributed to our heritage.
Very much so.
And our heritage has been given to us from those that come from the diaspora, from those that have oppressed us.
Yeah.
And throughout the generations of that, it's developed into something that we now are calling long suffering. So
it's not just those that oppressed us, though.
It's not, because
not
necessarily those that oppress us. Because if you look at, so for example, if you go home now, Yeah, you got back home, kids have got no toys, nothing. I remember watching a kid literally just running around with a brick, acting as if it was a car, happy as anything. Right? They wasn't oppressed, but there was nothing on the table, but they were still happy. Then you come here, kids have got everything and more,
and they're not happy.
but then their mental health is gone.
So what is it they lack then? Is it a lack of love why they're not happy?
No, but there's that DNA, the mental DNA is gone.
There's 2 points. There's 2 points to that. It's not. It's a lack of attention to detail. So that's why, especially children, act a certain way, even though they're given everything, is because actually the attention to detail isn't great. Now, going back to the long suffering, and challenge me on that, what I just said there, but going back to the long suffering, it's not just maybe fundamentally it is, but the long suffering. So, for instance, a lot of black women, a lot of black queens, they were long suffering because we, and obviously not us specifically, but we black men wanted to be active.
Yeah.
So that's and then do this, that, and whatnot.
Yeah. Have
children here, there, and everywhere, and whatever.
Yeah.
Women still had to kind of look after and care. So these role models that we're talking about that had to kind of bring up, not everyone, but I can speak from my experiences, had to kind of bring up children on their ones. That's long suffering because we as men wanted to kind of flex.
Yeah.
But where does that come from?
But it was our culture as well.
response.
So not only like it was because they had to bring them by themselves, but our culture was men would be working, women would be at home looking after the kids. That was primarily their role. We had different roles. Whereas here, those roles have been mangled up and things are falling through the cracks. Back home, it was man will go to work, women will be at the house knowing what the kids have had to eat, what the kids are going to wear.
That's a different type of suffering, though.
It is.
No, but what I'm saying is you're saying because obviously most of the men wasn't available. That's why.
Yeah, but the men went out and the men were roaming, weren't they? I think what M's alluding to is the fact that some of us were forfeiting our responsibilities in the home as men and going out.
Yeah. And that may that the fundamental of that whole dynamic of us doing that might be because of our oppressors. But I feel there's direct and indirect things why there is long suffering, and I think some of it we have to take responsibility. We have to take exactly, brother. We have to take responsibility for regardless of what the root cause is, or where the root cause. We still can control some of the controllables, we
have a responsibility.
But by being conscious, by being a conscious role model. If you're aware that you're a conscious role model, then you can control the controllables more so than someone that's an unconscious role model.
Yes. That I agree with. That I agree with fully. 100%. And the thing is, you lot touched on different subjects in terms of a man not being present and us having to take responsibility for that. Yes, I agree with that from a male aspect. On a female aspect as well, it's about understanding roles. Now,
elaborate on that, please.
Sorry. So we're talking about black queens, right? And saying that let's not get it twisted in terms of it's black men's fault, the reason why the black household ain't there. Let's not get it twisted. Yeah? Black women, if we're talking about black men, then we're talking about black women.
Yeah, we've got to be balanced.
Also need an aspect of change too. And that's about understanding each person's role.
That's another.
Now, what I mean by that is a black man. You're a black man. I don't expect a black man to take the role of a black woman. Well, guess what? On the flip side, I don't expect a black woman to take the role of a black man either. Yeah, know your role, man.
One of the things that's threatening our culture right now, right? This is not
Western society.
It's the Me Too movement. That's one of the things that's threatening. No. Let me explain.
Okay. Get it out.
It was feminine,
right? There is good, but I'm looking at the bad things. So the negative side of it, what I'm saying is, women are being promoted, right, to take active roles as fathers, not as women. as fathers. So now you have two husbands in the house.
Right.
No one is no longer playing their role. Look at it this way. As a football team, we're not all strikers,
Simple.
right? As a team, to work, you need a keeper, defender, midfielder, and a striker. But now everyone is running around to be a striker. We all want to be the goal scorers.
Everyone
He
wants the
does not
headline.
run. That's where I'm coming from. So for me, it's a threat. Because if you look at how things are moving right now. People are talking about the courtship doesn't work for women anymore. It needs to change, right? Men are just quiet. Okay, fine. We understand. What we want to do, the Me Too movement is not promoting for equality, which that's what they're hiding under.
Yeah,
They're
I
promoting for a flip side of
agree.
things. They want to be on top.
Right.
Now,
Right.
that's where the issue is. So it's a threat. That's what I'm saying. It's a threat
Now, can I
to
jump on
our
that?
culture.
Can I jump
Go
on
on.
that? Now,
Yeah, go on.
I agree. It is a threat to our culture. Now, there's two aspects to this now, yeah? I don't even think it's just a Me Too thing. I think it's a Western society thing. Now, Western society has made it in terms of this whole equality push, whatever that means, by the way. Whoever earns the most in the home wears the trousers. If you earn 10 grand more than me, I'm no longer the man that I don't get to make the decision over what's bought, over the color of the walls, the carpet, nothing. And
I agree.
guess what?
I agree.
Yes, and guess what? If I'm not even working now as a man and the woman is working,
Yeah.
now I'm demasculated even more.
Big time. Big time.
Now I don't even get to choose what I eat.
Yeah, your
'Cause she's
role
buying it for me.
your role is forfeited.
Now that's because Western society has said whoever earns, and that's why, in terms of my own personal experience, if you've experienced it, please say this. Whenever you date a female, a question is asked.
What do you do for work?
What do you do for work? Or how much do you earn?
Yeah.
But really and truly, as black men, come on, we're here now, yeah? Okay, we're here now.
We're here.
Okay, all right.
We're all here.
As black, really and truly, and without
mhm.
deviating into like another subject, as a black man, would you ever feel like that?
Feel like what?
So even if you did have someone even if you was out of work, yeah, and you had a missus or a partner, or you were seeing someone that was kind of earning stuff, would you honestly would you 100%? Because I know there's people like that would 100% feel like that, like feel demasculated. But you as a man, or you guys as men, would you ever get to that point?
Right. Now, T said one thing, yeah. Damn, my mind's gone now. Now,
because I don't think I would if I was in that situation.
Now he talked about the typology in terms of the woman's at home with the food, the man's outside working, right? So there's an expectancy that the man's is the breadwinner, by whether you call it a stereotype or an age-old thing or whatever. There's still an expectancy that the man is the breadwinner. He goes out, the woman stays home with the kids. You bring back the money, and the woman decides how to disseminate that money and look after the home. Yeah. There's some sort of typology like that.
Yep.
Now, if you're not in that typology, now if the person going out to work is the woman and you're at home, so you've got to look after the home. You've got to do the domestics.
Yeah.
Which was attributed to the female.
Mm-hmm.
So then when she comes home in her 35k job and you got your zero money earnings, she's going to walk through that door with a different element.
Yeah, different swagger. A different swagger
in her. Because she
I
knows.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
Because the thing is, she ain't giving you that money to look after the home. She's going to hold on to that money.
Simple.
Yeah, because the
both roles. That's my point.
Yeah, because the power dynamic has changed, doesn't it? Automatically, when like you've just alluded to, if the woman is the breadwinner, the power dynamic changes, and like you say, the man he can feel demasculated.
But what I'm saying is that maybe it's a personal thing, and I haven't been in that situation where I haven't had a job, whatever. But I've been in situations before where I'm not the highest earner in the house, but guess what? I'm still the man of the house. 110%, and there'd be no argument about it. So
now there are situations like that.
So
we're not
are we
denying
talking about females in general, or are we talking about black females?
I'm talking about black men. This is what we're here for.
Right. But
Wow.
the discussion that we talked about was the queens, and then we went on to talking about the kings.
Yeah. So
What
we kind of
dynamic are we talking in?
Well, I think we just moved on a bit, but
Okay, cool.
Okay, so